Hey, this is Jared Dees from thereligionteacher.com. In the Old Testament, there's a series of books that are referred to as the prophetic books, the books of the prophets. Now, the prophets are very common in the Old Testament. There's a lot of them. And many of them have their own books, and they're divided into the major prophets and the minor prophets. And these designations of major and minor have to do with the length of the book. So these major prophets are longer books. The minor prophets are shorter books. Now, prophets in general, what did they do? What was their purpose? Prophets were called by God to speak on his behalf. They relayed God's message to the people of God, especially the kings and his subjects. Now, one key understanding about the prophets is they weren't so much predicting the future as addressing the sins of the present. So the two maybe main messages, and this is probably oversimplifying things, the two main messages you'll see in all these books of the prophets are, one, faithfulness to God. This is the number one sin in the Old Testament of the people of God, is that they are tempted, especially the kings and leaders, are tempted to worship other gods outside of Yahweh. So there's outside influences of other empires, other kingdoms that are drawing the people away. They're even drawing the kings away from worshiping the one true God, Yahweh. So the first key message of all the prophets is this: stay faithful to God. And all of the mistakes that fall into the history of the people of Israel all go into that disobedience from God, that lack of faith in God. Secondly, many of the prophets also have to do with this idea of mercy and justice, especially for the poor. So they're often speaking on behalf of God for the people who are poor, speaking out against the greedy kings or the greedy priests of different time periods, calling people for mercy on those who need it, more than just the sacrifices in the temple. So those are, again, probably oversimplifying things, but those are the main messages in the books of the prophets. Be faithful to God and show mercy to others. Basically summarizing the greatest commandments, right? Love God, love your neighbor. If you look at these prophetic books, and again, the major and the minor prophets refer to the books in the Bible, in the Old Testament, not just all of the prophets. So these are longer and these are shorter. So you'll see these common names in the readings of the church as well as in the New Testament, because many of these prophets, in addressing the challenges the people of Israel were going through at the different time periods, also do point ahead to what God is planning for them. So although the primary messages were faithfulness to God and mercy on those people who need it the most, the prophets also talked about the day of the Lord in the future, and particularly the Messiah that would be coming. So you'll see in the New Testament many references to the prophets talking about what God is planning for his people, for the world. So the Old Testament prophets, these are the most common books these are the books of the Old Testament, the major prophets, the minor prophets, but there's also a whole lot of other prophets in the Old Testament. Moses is a prophet, Samuel is a prophet, Elijah, Elisha are all prophets. There's all kinds of prophets in the Old Testament, but when you see these designations, major prophets and minor prophets, it's referring to these books of the prophets in the Old Testament. Lots of Old Testament prophets, all telling you, be faithful to God, show mercy to others. Go make disciples. God bless.